Hi everyone, my name is Abdul Rehman. Today I am accompanied with the Jungian analyst Daniela. She works at CJ Jung Institute at Brazil. She is also an arts therapist and uses sand play therapy for healing the mother and father complex and also dealing with the child psychology. So today the topic is complexes in Jungian psychology, which includes mother complex, father complex, and healing from them. Thank you, Daniela, for joining me.
Thank you, Abdul. It's a very great time to be here with you, talking about Jungian psychology, analytical psychology, as we say here. And I feel very nice and very happy.
Thank you. So, Daniela, how would you enlighten our audience explaining the term complex in Jungian psychology?
Okay, a complex is a group of feeling ideas associated with the experience and the image. For example, the mother complex. That's our question, our issue in this time. The mother complex is a group of feelings and ideas associated with the experience of image of a mother. So we have good feelings and experiences with a mother, and we have bad experiences like sadness, abandoned children. All these experiences, they will construction of your complex. And on the basis of a complex, we have an archetype. So the mother archetype is the root of the mother complex. And the father archetype is the root of the father complex. And the mother complex and the father complex too is potentially active in everyone's psyche. Because the first people we met when we arrive in this world is our mother.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
And our father. So we have experiences with our mother and our mother, good and bad experience. And we keep all of this in our conscious, in our history. We built a complex in our history. We need a history. We need to be here in this world, in a relationship with these people. And they are very important because as they are the first people we met, the father and the mother, we built this positive and this negative sides of these two so important people and we built this so important milestones in our life. That's why when people come to therapy or any counseling or anything about work with to try to heal their problems, their pain, their suffering, depression, any kind of disturbances, people talk about father and people talk about mother. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's true. So how do you think that like the initial stages when the child ego hasn't been developed, let's say the age before 5 or 6 years when there's no development of conscious ego in the child, how does like the unconscious of mother have an impact on the child?
Yes, we have very early experiences. I think maybe before we born, since we are in the womb of our mother, we have feelings, and these feelings are very nice. We feel both sides, positive and negative feelings, like security, nutrition, protection, or negative like abandon, or like a very cold feeling mother,
Mhm.
very
So the fear of abandonment
distance.
is that arises when even the child, before the child is born and is the womb of mother.
Yes, and we don't need to talk to or need a conscious or ego, because a child has an ego only when she's 6 or 7 years old.
Hmm.
The child, she doesn't know who she is or he is in the first year of his life, for example.
Hmm.
The world of the child is the world of the mother.
That's
You
true.
know,
Mhm.
we say the participation mystique, that Jung says this. There is no ego in the child. She doesn't know who she is.
Mhm. That's true.
She's the world of the mother. So that's why it's so important how is this psychological state of this mother, of his mother. Because in the first year, uh, the father doesn't exist. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, but
no, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
the
because
father comes later, no?
yeah, because the
Because the
initial, I believe the initial years of the life should be really surrounded by a feminine environment uh, around the child, because that's what he need for nourishment, for protect. I think so. For even protection, he need those feminine grounds: love, nourishment, affection, because he could develop a sense of security around him or her.
yes. So we have, for example, a mom that, for example, breastfeeding
Mm-hmm.
her baby,
Mm-hmm.
but she is depressed, for example, or she doesn't like being a mother, or
Uh-huh.
she didn't enjoy that child, she didn't desire that child.
Mm-hmm.
So it's devastating. It's devastating. It's overwhelming
Mm-hmm.
because they don't create a good relationship. And then after many years, we need to go back and try to rebuild, uh, do again this. Um, this.
So it's
How
like
can I say?
you're saying that they need to rebuild
Redo, yes, this all this relationship that
mhm,
they didn't do it very well
in the childhood.
in the childhood.
Uh-huh, I see.
That's we need to go to this unconscious time. That's why we work with the conscious, and to try to make a dialogue between the conscious and the unconscious, and try to understand why, when you are, for example, 20 years old, 30 years old, and you it's difficult for you to be a mother, or all your relationships are distant and cold, and you feel bad, and you are very, for example, irritated, you
Mm-hmm.
are negative, you are destructive, you don't feel very well,
Mm-hmm.
you are a difficult person. Oh,
So
many
so
kinds of
how
problems.
does like the overprotective mother has an impact on the child, especially the boys?
The overprotected mother are, is so devastating as the abandoned uh, mother. Winnicott says you need to be a good mother,
Mm-hmm.
not a bad or a very, very good. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be a good mother, sufficient good mother. That's
So like being overprotective, do you think that uh, in what ways in like our daily lives it could have an impact on the child, like the overprotective mother does at psychological level, how does it impacts?
yes, the overprotected mother tells to the child, you are not able, you are not strong, you are
Mhm.
not good enough to be alone. I
Uh-huh.
need to be with you all the time. It makes a weak person, a weak personality,
So
not capable to take care of himself and go to his way independent or
mhm,
with autonomy.
mhm,
So the mother creates a negative mother complex. We have a positive mother complex and a negative mother complex.
So can you explain a bit on both positive mother complex and the negative mother complex with an example, maybe?
Oh yes, I can tell you a story of a client I had many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's a case of a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and the parents were divorced, and the child of the girl of 8 years old lived with his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you about a negative father complex. Okay,
Sure.
and she lived very, very well with this mother, very close. And his mother used to say very bad things about this father to her. Oh, your father's not good, not responsible. He doesn't pay his bills.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl started to have nightmares at night. I will tell you the nightmare. She was in the forest with his mother, and his mother tell her, "Oh, go there and pick up some fruits." And when the girl is going to pick up some fruits, she have to leave the mother and go to pick up some fruits. And then appeared the terrible werewolf. You know what werewolf is?
Yeah, yep.
It's half man and half wolf.
Yes,
very terrible, very aggressive. And this wolf came to her, trying to catch her. And the dream finished this very terrible male image came trying to destroy her. So, and when she came to the therapy, she used to make on a sandbox a very happy family. Father and mother together, and her in a very happy family, in a dining room, you know, all the table with food and the people there and the baby together, a very ideal family together.
So that may be the longing of that girl for a happy family.
Yes, she is trying to restore, to make a very good family symbolic for her. Because it was very difficult for this girl to have a negative father complex, you know?
Because that was all created by her mother, because she just told everything bad about
by her mother, the image of her father, you know, a very distant father, another father to be, you can't trust this father because he's not very, I can't trust him very well.
So how do you, yeah, please continue.
And she was, it was very difficult for her to deal with male people, and maybe in the future it would be very difficult for her to have a relationship,
exactly,
a boyfriend, a husband, for example.
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
So there might be kind of trust problems and insecurities and
insecurity. Yes.
So
and she was really afraid of this werewolf. It's the symbolic form of his unconscious. It's telling her that the male is overwhelming her. It's tough.
So such girls, do you think that develop kind of an unconscious hate towards men?
Yes, because in the future she can. It's a projection, because the father complex is the same projection in the teachers, in the grandfather, in the boyfriends. You know, all the male relationships.
So that would be negative
is the
projection.
Same. Have you ever heard about, oh, this woman married a man, and the man is the same of his father?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or a man marries his mom.
Yeah,
He's seeking his mother in every woman.
exactly.
That's
That
correct.
happens.
That's right. That's true. This is true.
Yeah, because also the image of anima and animus, they're projected
Yes.
on
And
like
all of this is
relationships.
unconscious. All these projections, it's unconscious.
So you're saying that it's highly possible for a girl who gets when in her adulthood, that if her mother told everything bad about the father, then probably she would project that animus, that werewolf, onto a man. Then is it possible uh that she might go on marrying someone bad?
Or maybe she never marry, for example. She stays
Uh-huh, that's highly
with her
possible.
mother all
Hmm.
her life. We have we have this, né? So so negative patterns, and it's, you know, destructive.
So at some point, do you think that she developed some kind of hate towards her mother, because she kind of somehow stopped her life growing and developing relations? Does that happen?
Yes, in this case, I told you the problem I see, it's a symbiosis. Do you know this word?
Symbiosis. I just know symbiosis in terms
Yes,
of biology.
very close. I think that a symbiosis,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that symbiosis with the first year, it's
Yep.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the girl, she's 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to be more free from this mother. It's too
Exactly.
much regression. It's too
Mm-hmm.
much close. The mother and the daughter forms like one together, you know. And
Exactly.
this is
That. Mhm.
not healthy. Psychological is not healthy. It makes
That's true.
this girl insecure, and you know, and that this dream tells us the world, when you are not with your mother, is very destructive and can destroy you
That's true.
because there are many monsters there.
Hmm. So how can a positive mother complex, how it could be for men and women, like for boy and a girl?
A positive.
Yep.
Um, Let me think. For example, a son that's not tied to his
Hmm.
mother
Hmm.
for so long, and a boy that felt tenderness, feel security. You
Hmm.
know, a mother not very possessive,
Hmm.
and this boy, they built a positive mother complex. And then with the girl, it's the same, because boys and girls have both complexes.
I
A
see.
daughter, as
Hmm.
a girl, have mother and father complex, and the boy too, the mother and father complex. Both carries this, and we are made of opposites inside of ourselves. We
Hmm.
have a
That's true.
positive side, and because the mother is good and the mother is bad.
Yep.
Sometimes the mother gives me what I want,
Hmm.
but sometimes not, and this is very, very healthy.
Exactly,
You
because
know.
yeah, that's what I was wondering. I believe I was discussing with a friend of mine. I was just telling him that there are such people growing that they are too much overloved, overvalued, and what
Yes.
happens is that when they reach adulthood and they receive even the constructive criticism, they are not able to withhold that.
An overloved child, maybe is a spoiled child, terrible, tyrannic child, like
Exactly,
the king of the house, the princess of the house, and the
exactly,
parents like slaves.
exactly. Even
So
sometimes,
attached and serving devotion to this child, it's not good. This is terrible. It's happening now. People,
mhm,
parents feeling guilty and giving lots of presents and gifts,
mhm,
and the children must be frustrated. It's good.
Exactly. Even in some
Makes you
cases.
strong. It gives you the sense of reality. The life don't give you all you want in your life. No,
Exactly. That's true.
life is very real and very hard to
even
deal.
even in some cases, the childs are not tyrannical. Actually, what happens is that when the child is valued, over loved, what happens is that they their behavior is shaped by that over loving and praise. They know that we are getting the praise if we are performing well or something like that. Then they continue to have a fixed behavior that is only like uh, like goodness and something very heroic and stuff like that. So they develop their own sense of morality. So when they reach adulthood and receive midlife crisis, then mostly the people, they go towards nihilism. They don't have a, they see the world as very cruel. And that's what happens because they have been
Yeah.
overly valued. And when someone criticizes them, or when even they see something a little bad happening in the world, they say that that's not what we expected.
Yes, because the child, most of the child now are only child. It's a problem
Exactly.
nowadays. Only child, very spoiled and egoistic.
Exactly.
She's the center of the world and very narcissistic too. We are
Exactly.
living in the society of narcissist people.
Hmm. So the.
So people don't have empathy to each other, you know.
Mhm.
I don't see the other. I only see my world. I am narcissist. I feel I am the greatest.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. That happens. That's true.
so the individualist people and are it's a problem
Yep,
nowadays.
that's
No?
true. That's true. So I believe that explains the mother complex, and the listeners should be quite aware of that. So let's move towards father complex. That's a very good image. Protection, security.
Yes. Uh, the father the father nowadays are very different of the fathers of Jung's time,
Mhm.
Freud's time. You know, this the relationship um, with the children. I think that changed a lot.
Yeah, with the time. Yep.
And yes, and this authority now of the father sometimes uh, are very. I see it now very weak. The
Hmm.
fathers are, you know, a bit um, difficult. It's a bit difficult for them to be fathers, and the father needs to be a father, to be a good father with no problem, and need to say no when it's time to say no.
Uh-huh,
And if
exactly.
the child like or don't like, because it's important to hear no
Exactly.
and
That
yes.
makes the child uh,
Yeah.
in nowadays world have that experience, because they are too much attached to their mothers, and they don't hear the word no, even for boys and girls both. So when they experience the external world and they hear someone saying no, they project their
Yes.
own shadows towards them.
Yes. uh, that's why it's so important. uh, and we have a negative father complex and positive too.
Hmm.
For example, we have, for example, a man.
Hmm.
uh, I like to give examples, real examples. It's more, it's easier to understand.
Yeah, exactly.
A man I had to a long time ago, 50 years old, and
Hmm.
still living with the parents.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and this man is trying to have approval of this father all the time, and self-value, self-worth from this father.
Like the
And
approval.
he approval, yes.
Hmm.
And this father is very critical. He's very critical, and he was now he's retired, but he was a very important businessman. Like this lion, imagine. and this man of 15 years old, he didn't grow up. He's still this young baby lion, trying to have approval of this big lion, this man that was very important. And for him, he would never be like his father or better. So he was a baby forever.
So like
depending on his father, he didn't marry, he didn't left home. He's still there, like a boy. No.
So is it like the hypercritical voices of the parents? Is that what, like the father, is that what creates father complex? Negative one?
This complex, for example, in this case, this man, he's created his complex, all these feelings in his history, create this negative complex. At the same time, he admires a lot this father. This father is overwhelming at the same time. You know, he loves so much, and it's difficult for him to deal with this big father. So it's so big for him.
Exactly, just like the picture in the slides. So how do you think that the example you give, so that client, how did he develop the father complex in the childhood?
How? Sorry, could you repeat again?
Yes, sure. So I said that, how did the man in childhood develop a father complex?
He developed day by day in all these experiences and feelings, and this image of the real father. You have the real father, the man, and the archetype of father in his unconscious. So all the experiences activates the archetype of father archetype, and this real father together creates this father complex. You know?
Yeah, got it. So it can be either negative and it can be either positive.
Oh, yes, and the negative and the complex have all together this negative and positive ideas and feelings. You know? All these ideas and feelings came together. Imagine a complex. It's like a web. You know, imagine all this together. All these ideas and feelings.
So it's just like a constellation,
yes, a constellation all together, and all that have these ideas and feelings related to father stay together.
I see. Yeah, that's true. So
that's true, and all related to mother stay together. It's another complex.
Exactly.
Many things together. And we have many complexes, as many experiences we have in our life.
So how would you give an example of, how about giving an example of a positive father complex?
A positive father, a father, for example, that you have experiences of, first of all, a father who enjoys having that child, first of all. Yes, it's very important for the father, for the child to feel the father or the mother enjoy them. They want me to be here. They want me. They love me. First of all, love. First of all,
that's true.
All we need is love, first of all. And all the experiences and feelings they have in their life, you know, so, not much criticism, you know, acceptance, treat, recognize the child,
So
not
that's a very
or,
major problem.
you know, creating all this relationship during now the early life experiences are very important. If the child doesn't feel helpless or abandoned or overwhelmed, things like this.
So it creates a sense of security and protection and more of like masculine component in even boys and
Yes,
girls.
a masculine company.
Yeah. So it would be
And
more like how to.
sometimes it's very common that the mother keep the child with her, and don't allow the father to come. That's
Exactly.
why I would like to come to a very controversial point in that the homosexuality. Jung says it's a boy, it's a son tied to the mother in an unconscious form, and it doesn't allow the son to leave her and have another woman. It's like a psychological marriage, you know?
That's true. So it would happen when the mother is too much tied to the son and doesn't allow him to be close to the father.
Yes. Jung says about the Don Juanism.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, the Don Juanism,
Yep.
the man seeks his mother in every woman he meets.
So
Woman after another woman.
so that's the shadow side. He becomes very cold and he would leave one woman another, searching for the anima image or the mother image in every woman. So if he doesn't find that, or if that image of mother doesn't match with anyone, he would just keep leaving every woman. So that would be the shadow side, right?
Yes, because he tries to find his mother, and he'll
Exactly.
never find his mother.
Exactly. So that what happens, because we see that all around, that people having too much relations, especially the men, they leave each girl. So what happens is that they try to match the image. I would say that uh, the image or the memory is saved in the hippocampus in the brain, and it gets alarmed when in the real life that image or that memory or that thought
Yes,
processing isn't matched with some reality. So it gives the alarm. So if that isn't matched, the boy would step aside, leave the girl, and search for another. It's just like a
yes,
hunting
search for
for someone
another.
else.
Yes, he wants only to seek a woman, try to find. It's like the woman is a goal, but when he arrives there, he's not interested anymore. So
Exactly.
tries another one. So it's very common we see father and mother complex in the sexuality life. You know, like a woman, for example, a daughter who has a very the feminine instincts very stimulated. For example, the only interest in her life is to have babies. You know, the only goal in life is childbirth, not the husband, not anything. Or woman who doesn't like any kind of man, hates men, very irritated. You know, it's unbearable to have
So
children.
does that, yeah, so does that happen in the absence of father, or when the woman is or when the girl is too much tied to the mother?
Yes, too much tired. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So we see it in the sexuality. It's very common, this complex.
I see. So how does I think we didn't discuss that. So how does like the absence of father affects a girl?
Absence of father.
Yep.
Yes, we can have a absence of father in the real father, or because you can have the real father living in the house, the same house, but he's not there. He's
Exactly.
completely absent of that house. So the child will feel helpless, don't have any support.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you will feel I feel unwanted.
So does in that case, does the girl repress that feminine components,
Yes,
or Mhm.
repress that feminine. I can't trust in any man. Uh, it's difficult to love, no, to have a
Mhm.
positive relationship
Mhm.
with men.
So would
Or
would
or
she
should you try, or should you be, you be very careless,
Mhm.
and very low self-esteem, and
Mhm.
you will be, for example, overstimulated to try to find a man, you
Mhm.
know,
Yep.
and you only will find happiness with another man, or with a man or
So
a
so that
husband.
so that happens in the absence of father, right?
We can have both ways, an over
Mhm.
necessity, or a
Yep.
completely
Opposite.
abandon and don't need this. No?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So how do you think that one can heal from the both of the complexes?
Yes, the most important way um, of to work with this in analytical psychology or a therapy is to understand the root of the cause of your emotions and behavior,
Mm-hmm.
of this parental complex are on the basis of our personality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, admits all these problems,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and try to create a dialogue between the conscious, all the problems you see and you understand, and all the part of you that in the shadow and you don't know, it's the unconscious. So the healthy for Jung, and the cure for neurosis is to
Yeah, that
create this
happens.
dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
this dialogue with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the way is to go inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a very difficult way, because you struggle with painful situations
Mm-hmm.
or difficult situations. Because imagine, in this complex, we have good feelings and very bad feelings and experiences. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to face all of this. That's why we need time. You don't make a therapy like 2 sessions or 1 month.
Exactly.
Maybe
Because it's
months and
Yep.
years,
Exactly.
because you have to give a new imagine you built this wall with
Mm-hmm.
many bricks
Mm-hmm.
for many years. You
Yes.
don't destroy this wall. It's
Yeah.
like you destroy yourself.
Exactly. That doesn't
You
happen in like
change
very
some
short time.
bricks, you rebuild this um, this wall, but you don't destroy this, because
Exactly.
it's not healthy for you. It's not good.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So I have a question here. Like, let's say if a boy suffers from negative mother complex, how can he heal from that, or like he recognizes that in a therapy in adulthood that he suffers from a mother complex, that he's too much tied to her mother, right? So he's not
Mm-hmm.
able to explore the world. He has the problem in facing the world, actually taking
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities, commitments, right? So that would be the negative mother complex, or that would be the negative father complex. If a boy has a problem committing and taking
Yes.
responsibilities.
First, the person needs to map to see when these complexes are activate,
Mm-hmm.
and need to start to reflect on what are those
Mm-hmm.
triggers that activate those complexes.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine in a situation, for example, a man. I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel able to really love any woman, And he feels very bad for this. You know, he started a relationship with someone, and he can't love. He tells me, I can't love any woman. I want to live then. And he had a very cold mother, very cold mother, very distant mother, like a soldier mother, you know, giving orders.
So that would mean that the feminine component was basically absent in the mother. So that was transferred to the son, and he projected that same on the other woman. So he wasn't able to show affection, love to someone in the religion.
This man, he doesn't know where is his arrows, the energy of love, the archetype of love is arrows. He doesn't know. And in the work, the problem is, in the work, he's a very aggressive man. People always are afraid of him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, he lives alone. But inside of him, we know together in the therapy, he is a very sensitive man. He loves music. He likes to cook. He's a very good person. But he's so attached in this negative mother complex that's difficult for him to show to the world, to show to people.
Because actually he didn't experience that love, and he don't know that how to show that love actually.
No. And with I think with 13 years old, he went to a border school to live alone.
That's
13 years old. So, for many Sundays, he had to have lunch alone because he was there in the border school studying. So he's very competent. He's a very intelligent man. He works in a very big company. He's like a CEO, but he lives alone. There's no love in his life, and we are working to try to bring love to his soul, because his soul is suffering.
Exactly. So how does one can how can one bring Eros back to the life when he is affected by a negative mother complex?
Oh yes, he needs to dialogue with Eros. He needs to experience Eros in his life. And how Eros come? By taking care of him. Taking care of people. I told him one day, do you smile to people? Do you smile to people? He said, no, my nickname is Bulldog. Oh, your nickname in your work is Bulldog. Have you ever tried to smile to people? Oh, he said, oh, it's a good idea. We are trying to talk, to speak about social etiquette, you know.
Yeah.
You need to smile. It's important. It's important to on your birthday of your secretary, you give her a gift or say, oh, happy birthday, or buy a birthday cake and for her in your office. This is Eros. This is life. This is affection. It's very simple, but for him, it's like a enigma. It's something he doesn't know.
So do you think that such men constantly avoid women, right?
Constantly?
So I was saying that, do you think that such men avoid women in relationships?
All his relationships were a disaster because he was very cold.
So does he push the women away who try to be intimate with them at emotional level?
He needs to bring Eros to his life first, and then go to a relationship. First, he needs to be full of love. to give love, but he's empty. His soul is empty. That's why he needs to talk to him to try to rescue all his love, because in one day or sometime a long time ago, he lost the love in his life.
Exactly.
He lost the contact, and we need to rescue this and dialogue with this and bring this to him. And now he's the weekends, he's going to the countryside to be close to the nature.
Yep.
Be close to his instinctive life, to be. So he had relationships and sex with women and don't feel anything.
Yeah, that happens. Yep. So how about healing from the father complex? How can man start healing from the father complex?
Start to healing.
Yeah, the father complex.
First, as I told you, need to map all this time and see how recognize when all these complexes are activated and what happened in his life, and try to give new meanings to his ideas and feelings. Create new meanings of living, and try to change the patterns and not to live the same way that is lived, because the person is suffering. It's not good.
So what if he has too much influence of a fatherly figure? So how come he would have an independent journey? Because for healing, he might need to have an independent journey, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Imagine a negative pattern. No. Imagine a pattern that's destructive or bad for you. So you need to ask questions for yourself. Because the complex is like the Jung says, it's a splinter personality inside of you. It's like another you. Complex, like it's not me. I don't want this anymore. I want to change this. So you working with your complex loses all the force, all the destructiveness of the complex,
I see. So it just takes away the energy from unconscious patterns and utilizes in the conscious life.
Yes, because sometimes the complexes are very strong, and he has his own life. It's like someone inside of you, another personality inside of you, and possess you. It's the worst part. The complex possess you from time to time. You are living very well, and one day your complex decide to possess you. And you have, for example, an anger crisis. Imagine you have an anger crisis because someone told something for you. And you feel very angry. It's a complex activated inside of you.
So yeah, that's when the emotions, anger or something like that, frustration is exposed. That's basically the complexes are getting activated, and we need to identify those emotions and underlying patterns related to those emotions.
Yes, and create all this dialogue with yourself. And the analyst or the therapist helps you to do it.
Exactly. Yep, that's true. I believe that was a great explanation on complexes, mother complex, father complex, the negative and positive aspects of them, and how they are linked to the sexuality in both of men and women. So thank you so much, Daniela, for joining me on the podcast. And I hope the listeners would really enjoy that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Here in Brazil, we are always studying this, and Jung is a very good journey
Yep,
to be
that's true. It's really hard as well.
the better way, the best journey is inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say to people to study the completed works of Jung,
Mm-hmm.
the volume 9, the archetypes and the collective unconscious.
Yep.
Jung writes a lot about this. All we told about homosexuality, Don Juanism, the
Exactly.
father and mother complexes, all of this in the Jung collected works. Okay.
Yep, that's written in quite detail in the archetypes and collective unconscious.
Yes. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Daniela, for joining. It was really nice meeting you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.